Hello, it's Lynn, the occupational therapist at the Little Lighthouse. Today we were going to talk about some different sensory bags that I've used in groups um, over the years and that are easy to make. And we're going to make one at the end, but just some things that I do use just to give y'all some ideas that y'all could use at home because a lot of us have Ziploc bags and different things that we can use. Bins are also good to do sensory, putting anything in to a bin for children to pull out and play with, but it can still be messy. So by putting it in a bag, it contains it and keeps the mess pretty mess free, but still get some sensory benefit. For it to be sensory play, we want to include 2 or more of the senses to encourage learning, which would be vision, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, some movement, or balance. So incorporating 2 of those in to any of the sensory play encourages learning. So I was going to show you what we did do today was putting the shaving cream into a Ziploc bag. Then we added some little beads in and some food coloring. And then the child can mix it. And that's just good for their hands and strengthening. But you can also put a piece of duct tape over the top to seal it. So on each one piece and fold it over and seal it. And if you wanted it on a tabletop or a solid surface, the child could play with it stable by taping it along the 4 sides and make it a stable surface. So then when they stand, they can play and it's not mobile. But they could still play in what feels like shaving cream to some degree, but it just doesn't have the mess. So that's one way to do a shaving cream bag or a sensory bag. And this one, the shaving cream had a little bit more water, but that is still a good sensory bag because you can put different things in it. I have put gel and water and different things, and the more items you put in it, it just gives some visual effect to it and some visual play and scanning. So that's 2 bags. And then today we also did the rainbow, which would be more for just, it's a little bit more difficult. And I know you saw, this is backwards now because I had it lined up that way. And then you could push items down, like putting a little ball in and working it with your fingers through the gel. And the gel provides some resistance. So it's helping to strengthen those fingers as you're working and playing with the sensory bag. You could also take this down over a surface. I have cut out a pumpkin cutout and put this underneath with the cardboard around it. So it's shaped like a pumpkin and moved things around like triangles to make the pumpkin face. Because this, with it being clear, you can see everything through it. I've also put, let's see, I'm going to slide it in here. You can actually write on the bag with a Sharpie to make a pattern actually on the bag like a cross, and then take the pom-poms over that, or you could put it on top of a picture that's already there and carry like the red pom-pom around the maze, and that's working those fingers through a little bit of resistance. So that's just some ideas for that, and it could be some pre-writing incorporated in there. Now I also have used, with our emotions, we did this activity, and I had a black, I just put a black piece of paper. I did not have black paper in here, and it was a word search. It was actually an emotion search, what we did, and we looked for how finding smiley faces on the pumpkins and different things like that. But it's a black, I wrote in black on the bag, and it put a black surface in it. You could also put a black surface behind it, and it does about the same. But I've made a little flashlight. I left mine at home, so I just made this out of just a paper plate and some construction paper just to give it a white surface. You need a white surface because when you take the white in the bag, so you can't see anything now, but when you take the white in, you can help them to find an A or find the B, and look, they found it. Or if they want to do shapes, you could go draw circles I've done it with bigger bags. This isn't wanting to go down, but you can find the circle and just by sliding it in and out of the bag. And this bag would be open and with something dry, and then there's the triangle. So it's kind of just a fun way to find letters. So that is another way to use a sensory bag. And that was actually with material because I didn't have black construction paper. So those are a couple of the ways. We've also made in containers like the jars that are the sensory jars, and the sand, water, and some shells, and had each of the children put shells in, and then you can super glue the top or hot glue the top so it does not open. So then it is permanent. So, but until you hot glue it, they can still open it. So, and that could be any container. You could use little containers or big containers to fill with different things. And there's lots of ideas out there. So with our sensory bag, to make a sensory bag, you can start with any Ziploc bag. If it has any writing on it, you use fingernail polish remover on a cotton ball. I'm going to put it on this blue. And just put it on there, and it wipes right off. So you can take all that writing off of the bag. It's very easy. You don't even have to push very hard. I did not know that that would do that. So then you have a completely clear bag with no Ziploc on it. I have a cup of flour, 1 cup of water, so let's put the flour in first. We open the bag, put 1 cup of flour, one cup of water, and you want to get all of the air out. You can put any coloring. You can put some paint or food coloring in. But it's real important. I usually fold it down to try to get all of the air bubbles. Sometimes they end up coming back in. But trying to get as much out before you seal it as possible, especially if you're going to use it and not reopen it. So just folding the thing down and getting most of the air bubbles out. Let's see if we can get it. And closing it up. Let's see. Not going to close today. I'm having times with these bags. But once you get it closed, you can work that flour around, and that it gives it a little more consistency. You can also put in hair gel, aloe vera gel, any kind of gel in here that is a thicker consistency. That's what mine was over there. But working that flour around in it, and putting the food color would give it a little bit more of a color. So then when we lay it down flat, put it on here, this makes it just a little bit thicker. And if we taped it around the edges, we could also do our tracing, like writing our 10. It just gives you, it gives a little more resistance, kind of like the gel. But if you don't have gel, that is a way to make one at home, and you can put it to any color. Okay, well, I hope that this has been educational for you, and I hope you're able to use some of this at home. Thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.